So we saw a drop in home sales month over month in September. Actually, that broke a five-month positive trend. Let's get more from Anne-Elise Cugliari Allegritti, Vice President of Communications and Research at Royal LePage. Thank you very much indeed for joining us, Anne-Elise. What jumped out for you with these latest housing stats?
Thanks for having me. Good morning, Andy. What we've seen over the last couple of months is a very gradual return of buyer activity, especially in the most expensive markets like Toronto and Vancouver, which had really not returned to the normal sort of spring activity that we expected at the beginning of the year. But that trend started to turn around at the end of spring and kind of continued through the summer. In September, we saw a slight dip in Vancouver and across the prairies. Toronto still showed a little bit of positive activity, but the real sort of trend line here is that there's a slow and steady sort of gradual return of buyers to the market. Certainly not the fall activity that we typically see, but it's starting to turn around.
What's the big driver there? Is it the prospect of still lower interest rates?
It's a couple of things. One of them is certainly that there's no real sense of urgency for buyers. We know that first-time buyers have really slowed down in their return to the market. They're feeling a little bit anxious about their sort of financial futures, as well as the sort of general economic outlook for the country. At the same time, in a normal market, you would see current homeowners, those who are looking to move up, buy their new home before they sell. But something different is happening right now where we're seeing sellers actually holding off until they're able to sell their homes before they get back into the market. So there's a couple of factors that are really sort of driving the slowdown.
So there were almost 200,000 properties listed at the end of September, and it was up almost 8% year over year. So it's a gradual recovery. I mean, there's more listings on the market.
Exactly. There's definitely a moment of opportunity here, something that we haven't seen in many decades. If you consider how buyers were reacting in the times of the pandemic in 2021 and 2022, there was an absolute frenzy for buyers where on any given day, if they weren't able to successfully purchase a property, they knew that same home would go for tens of thousands of dollars more the following week.
Yes.
Luckily, that is not the case today. They have a choice. There is plenty of supply available. Interest rates are continuing to come down, and prices have essentially flattened, even lowered slightly in our most expensive markets. So buyers are really in the driver's seat, and that's a good thing.
We've less than 30 seconds, but we did see a slight recovery in housing starts, but it's really been fitful despite the politicians talking about all hands on deck to build houses. Ontario getting nowhere, it seems.
The good thing is that housing reform and the need for more housing is top of mind for our policymakers, and we need to ensure that is part of the conversation. Beyond what our governments can do, though, we definitely need developers and the private sector to sit down at the table with our municipal policymakers and ensure that the procedures and the cost to get more shovels in the ground can become more efficient as time goes on. Just because activity has slowed slightly at the moment doesn't mean that our fundamental need for increased supply is not going to rear its head again in a couple of years.
Thank you very much, Anne-Elise.
My pleasure. Thank you.
Our guest has been Anne-Elise Cugliari Allegritti, VP of Communications and Research at Royal LePage.